Grand Rising. Why some need me to be done wrong and stupid, true Brit, and mainly is my intention for it to be ARC, which I'm going to have to change the name of. But it's more ARC without the E and 2 O's. And I'm going to begin there in some respects. So what's been happening sort of geopolitically in regards to tariffs, the wars in Ukraine and Iran. I need to say something about that one. Just whilst I remember. So when it all began, I was there the night that it all cracked off with Iran, and the news report was initially Israel has attacked Iran, blah 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 blah. Then within 15 minutes, Trump, without a tie on, came out and did a sort of an announcement. It wasn't a emergency broadcast, but it was a kind of impromptu statement to say that that the USA was now entering into that conflict. And the first early reports were it was Israel and America, and not long after that, within a day or two, it was less than a day actually, I think, it was America has attacked Iran. And they've been flitting and flopping between Israel and America and Israel, or just America. But it was Israel that actually started it. It came out on the news bulletin on the night that it started. It was about literally a couple of minutes after midnight, quarter past 12:15, I'm sure. So since then, we've had economies in flux, prices up and down, stock market in turmoil, blah 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 blah. Behind the scenes, politically, or there's been a desire to seek a diplomatic solution to the conflict that everybody's saying that Donald Trump started. They're not even saying that, it was the USA. They're saying it's specifically Donald Trump and his policies and his cabinet team that have deliberately gone to war to recreate the war, which is worse than the war that started in whenever it was, between the last one that actually was started. I think it was under the Obama regime, I'm going to call it, under the Obama administration. That's when that war started, and they've been keeping it going since then, in various forms, and also since the Iraq war too. So that's all intermingled. So Trump's been trying to stop it, that's for sure, because he said he's not interested in war. But every time he seems to stop it, using the methods that he uses, which appear to be nobody's liking, particularly the G7 countries, and I include China in that to a degree. G7, I think that's it, Australia as well, and there's South Africa, all the sort of supposed alleged democratic societies, EU countries. I'm going to cross this road very quickly before this person gets here. Just don't really want to cross. Democratic countries. So every time something that looks like peace is on the table, or it looks as there's a ceasefire, somebody comes along to screw it up. It's breached. And as time's gone on, I'd like to believe, actually, that more people are becoming more and more aware of who keeps interfering with the process towards a cessation of hostilities, particularly in Palestine and Gaza, and particularly in the Middle East. And a solution is sought to the Israeli conflict, what's going down, down there, right? This expansionist thing that's going on. Everybody seems to be trying to justify since 1947, actually, since before then, but right, anyway. So, what I want to say, what that means is, that's what's going on the surface, but there are behind the scenes of all these diplomatic shenanigans, or this desire for diplomacy, is that diplomacy hasn't been achieving the goals that are hard for people to see, because we're still expecting diplomatic outcomes to these solutions that have never worked since the founding of the United Nations. That's what it was there to do, is basically, it seems to me, to start conflicts, and whoever starts the conflict, to support them in keeping the conflict going. It's another process of colonization for me, but that's another story. But what it means, behind the scene of that, behind the optics of that, you've got what have you got? You've got nobody's been talking about the BRICS as an example. There's a whole move away from, I can't remember how many countries are involved in the BRICS currency, which basically means that their currencies now, and I think the deadline might have passed for it to happen, for all these countries that are part of the BRICS alliance, as it were, for their assets, their money, if you will, to be backed by, tangible assets, such as gold, silver, oil, whatever is the country is able to produce. So what these tariffs, for me, are all about are basically the trade deals. You know what I mean? People, trading, making deals. Now, you can't do deals with governments. The deals are being done, have been traditionally, but it's the governments that are supposed to, but they haven't been doing, and they've handed it over to these corporations, which a lot of the politicians work for. So, as Trump, as a head of and CEO, commander-in-chief of all these corporations, and what we're seeing now at the moment is them kicking back and sort of saying, like, we don't want to give up, particularly the UK, because it's the UK that started the shit in the first place. The British, and I'm saying ish rather than Britons did it. The British did it. The people that were pretending to be British but actually weren't, or pretending to be Britons. They were like Britons, but they weren't Britons. They set up the corporation, through things like the East India Company, all those. There's loads of those all over the place, and they've been running for years, for decades, centuries in some instances, and they are part of the Crown Corporation's operations overseas for their seized territories. Trump is restoring all of that. He's dismantling the fraudulent corporations, and there are many of them, and that's what he's been going around the world doing, creating trade deals, and because they've all run out anyway, the contracts that they created, most of them have run out, been running out for the last few years. So I didn't get a chance to finish it off, but I'll do the second part of this a bit later on. Okay. Till then, can't remember what it is I used to say. I'm out of breath for some unknown reason. May your ERP be strong. I'm gone. Ta-da.